Hi, this is Anthony, managing member of Exceptional Accounting, and today we are going to look at the bank reconciliation function. Now, just real quickly, we're going to talk in theory why the reconciliation is so important. The reconciliation function allows you, the QuickBooks user, to have a measure of certainty that the information that is within QuickBooks actually matches the activity in your bank statement. It's basically a way to check the data to make sure that what's in there is correct, that you didn't, for example, double enter something or maybe miss a key transaction that would affect the financial statements. And so regular reconciliation of the accounts is necessary. I would say at least monthly, or if you'd like to look at your financial statements on a more frequent basis, perhaps you want to do a reconciliation even quicker than that, on a more frequent basis, that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a simple reconciliation, and we are going to assume that everything works out fine. And what I mean by that is that all the transactions are entered correctly, they're all there. All we're doing is just performing the reconciliation, and that's it. In a later tutorial, we will go over issues that you may come into or find as you're reconciling. For example, if you can't find a transaction, or if you believe a transaction has been put in incorrectly, we can go through all that. But right now, we're just going to go over the basic mechanics very quickly. So the first thing you do is you're going to go over to Banking and click Reconcile. And on the drop-down menu here, you will pick the account you want. Now notice you can reconcile many accounts. Commonly what people do are bank accounts, credit cards, loans, and those types of accounts, but you can also do other types of accounts if you need. But I would recommend, if you're just a simple business getting going on, then you probably only need to reconcile your bank account, your credit cards, and any loans that you have to start out with. So for right now, we're going to pick this checking account, and right now the beginning balance states $238, $625, and 29 cents. Now we're assuming that this account, in this example, this account has already been reconciled previously, and so that's why that beginning balance actually shows a balance. Now when you reconcile an account for the first time, let's suppose you go to the bank, you open up a business bank account, and you're about ready to reconcile your first month's worth of a first statement for your business. This number right here will state 0 because it's never been reconciled before, which it should, because in the month that you open the bank account, the beginning balance of the account is 0. Then as you deposit money and then incur expenses, it'll come out to the ending balance. So don't be alarmed if you look there and see that this is a 0, because if you're just starting an account, then it should be 0. But we're going to get into that later. There also could be a potential issue of what if the beginning balance doesn't match the beginning balance on your statement. Well, that's another issue. We're going to get into that entirely by itself as well. So needless to state, again, we're assuming this is a perfect reconciliation. You first want to pick the statement date, which is the date of the statement that you're reconciling. So we're going to assume it's November 30th, 2015. I would look on my bank statement and find the beginning balance and make sure that it matches this amount right here, which we're going to say it does. And then in this part right here, we would put in the ending balance according to the statement, which I've assumed is $300,000. On the next part right here, if there's a service charge, let's suppose your arrangement with your bank merits that you pay a service fee monthly, you could put the amount right here, the date this fee came out of your bank account, which you would put there. You would want to pick the account, the expense account that you would associate with that fee, which is usually bank service charge. And then if there's a class that you need, you could put the choose the class if needed. Same thing with interest. If you are reconciling a savings account, for example, and there's interest that you've earned, you would just pick an income account, interest income right there, and then put the amount and the date that you received it. When that works, when that's all filled out, then you would just press continue. And this is the main reconciliation screen. So I'm just going to unmark all this real quick. And this is where you would start to perform the reconciliation. What you do is you just get your statement, and first you'll start with the deposits, which usually is the first section that pops up. You look at the deposits into your account. Now again, assuming all things are entered in correctly, all you do is just go in and find the deposits according to your bank statement, and you click them and just keep on clicking them. Now notice as I click, these numbers change. Okay, we're going to get to the importance of that later. But you click all the deposits. Right here, it tells you what the total amount of deposits you have clicked are right there. So that 20,743 is the total of all of these. And then the same thing, you would click all of the accounts and expenses on the left-hand side as well for all of your debit card transactions, your checks, everything, and just keep checking them. And at some certain point when you've gone through the whole statement, you will get to a point when you're finished. How do you know that you've done the reconciliation correctly is right here where it says difference. Now this is off, of course, because I'm just showing an example, but had I done the reconciliation completely, this difference would show a $70,000, would show a zero balance, meaning that the ending balance that you put in the system actually matches all of these transactions that you've clicked. The way that it comes up to the ending balance is, of course, you take your beginning balance, you add your deposits, and then subtract the withdrawals, and that equals the ending balance. So if you don't have zero here after you've clicked things, then something is incorrect. Perhaps you missed a transaction. Perhaps something was entered incorrectly. When you entered in something, there was a couple cents off, or you manually entered it incorrectly. There's a wide variety of reasons why it's off, but needless to say, your goal is to get this difference to be zero. So, and one other item to note, and this is if you want to go back to that screen where we put in the ending balance, you can click modify right here. Let's get rid of that. And the modify button right here will get you back to the screen. If you put in the service charge, so for example a service fee for $15, it's important that you understand that that individual transaction is already accounted for in this reconciliation. So if you go in and you have already entered the service transaction manually and you click it, you may notice that the difference is off by that transaction. And the reason why it's off is because you're basically have double entered that service fee or the interest. So just something to note, if you plan on using this function, this enters the transaction for you essentially. So if you have gone in and you have manually entered in the interest or the bank service charge for the monthly fee, then I would just leave this blank. See? And as you can see, your service charge, if we make this to 0 and just press continue, now it says service charge 0. That could be one issue why your reconciliation isn't done correctly. But in a nutshell, that's how you do a reconciliation. And once you have achieved a 0 difference, you just hit reconcile now, and you are done, and you're ready to go to the next account. Thank you for being with us, and if you have any questions, please check out exceptionalaccounting.com, and feel free to email me if you have any additional questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks a lot for being with us.